So, the next installment of the Marvel Phase 4 is here. That is the Eternals. And it is both better and worse than I expected. This first take review is going to be spoiler free for the first few minutes, but the last half I am going to take off my restraints and spill the beans. But do not worry, I will let you know when I cross that line. So if you like spoilers and want to just jump ahead to that section, I'll throw in a timestamp or something down below. When looking at a movie, I tend to judge based on three categories. And the first category that we're going to approach is cinematography, visual effects, CGI, that type of thing, which I tend to just call polish. So the Eternals held to the Marvel standard when it comes to visuals, which is great, but then at the same time, sometimes it's a little predictable and reliant on CGI. That's just my personal opinion, though. Besides that, I actually really liked some of the landscape shots, the visuals they provided, and then on top of that, the action sequences I actually really liked. So for that reason, I am going to give it a B+. I think it was actually better in this category than the most recent Marvel MCU Phase 4 films. In our second category, we have continuity. Now, this generally means continuity within the film, but then in this case, that's also going to mean continuity within the expanded Marvel universe from the movies we've already seen. And sadly, this is actually where we're going to start going off track a little bit. I personally felt that the explanation for why the Eternals stayed out of the fight in the previous movies was of the dollar store variety. I actually think I probably could have got up this morning, made breakfast, and come up with a better, more robust explanation than they had in the movie. Sorry, but I'm just calling it how I see it. So within the movie, there were actually other small inconsistencies when it comes to the continuity of the film, but those are very small, not nearly as glaring as that first one I mentioned. And then on top of that, those would be spoilers, so I'm just not going to go into them. But in this category, I'm going to have to give it a C grade. It's still passing. And I remember what my professors used to say, C's get degrees. So third and last category, we have the message and storyline. And I wanted to love this movie so much, and actually I still partly do. They had a really good, diverse, large cast. And that is like one of the great things because you could explore these ethical dilemmas. Like you had free will, you had following orders, you had what's it like to be in a world where you're basically a god and you also don't age. And the list goes on. But at the same time, this long list of potential narratives also kind of weigh the story down. So they had, I think it was about 10 characters. Each of them started growth arcs. And I honestly think only one, maybe two of them actually completed their arcs. And for that reason, the movie kind of collapsed under its own weight. And sadly, I can't judge based on potential. So for that, I am going to have to give this one a B-. For the overall grade, we have in the first category a B+, second category a C, and in the third category a B-. Cumulatively, that makes an average grade of a B-. Now, I don't want you thinking that I didn't like this film. Actually, when in the theater, I loved the film. I got pulled out just a couple of times, but absolutely worth seeing it in theater. The visuals are great. The action sequences are great. Please go watch it. Well, that is all for the spoiler-free section. From this point on, you've been warned. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I'm actually just going to extrapolate on my three main gripes with the plot and film. So my first gripe is actually with Sersi. She's arguably the leader of the group after Ajak passes on and gives her the mantle of leadership. And so by the end of the movie, I expected her to be filling the leadership role and making the shots, or calling the shots, rather. So when you first see her, she's actually a loving and empathetic character, and I thought that was a great point for her to start at. She seemed very believable. However, by the end of the film, I was going nuts. I wanted her to make some of the choices, tell the team what they were doing, where what actually happened was most of the team was actually calling the shots on their own or together apart from her, and they were the ones making the sacrifices, spare it maybe the very last one. So gripe number 2, Ikaris. Man, I almost loved this character. The thing is, he doesn't have a storyline. It's really frustrating. So he plays one mood the entire time. That was like that brooding, silent type. What I wanted from this, so before actually I say that, my issue with that is he was that the entire movie. So when he actually betrayed the team, I'm not going to say I totally saw it coming, but I knew there was some sort of betrayal happening, and I knew there was something weird with him. But when he betrays the team, it wasn't nearly as effective, in my opinion, because he was brooding the entire time. So what I would have done to fix this is in the beginning when he first sees Cersei, or maybe throughout the film, every time he's with Cersei, you realize he's actually more joyful. Maybe he's happy. He has more hope instead of having this dark aura about him all the time. Because by the end, if he was happy and cheery, you thought there was hope for him. And then in the end, he betrays the team. That has so much more weight. And on top of that, I'm just going to sneak this one in there. What the heck happens in the end? He flies into the sun. I'm assuming he's dead at this point. My problem with that is, so first, he betrays the team. And then second, he kind of betrays Arishem. And that's what I loved, is that he was choosing between the two, and he ends up choosing the worst of both worlds. I wanted to see how that was going to play out, either in the minutes to follow that decision or in the next film. I thought there was so much potential, and it was completely squandered. Anyways, I still liked him, and knowing Marvel, they can always bring him back somehow, somewhere. Lastly, they had 2 veteran actresses on the cast. Number 1 was Angelina Jolie, and 2, Salma Hayek. Angelina Jolie's character had this interesting scenario where the memories of her past life were then in turn making her threaten and attack her teammates. But 2/3 the way through this film, it just goes away with no actual reasonable explanation, in my opinion, and that completely took me out of it when I was watching this. And then 2, with Salma Hayek, her character was in this for like 5 minutes, which I am fine with, but my issue there is that we didn't have any real character growth, and it seemed like she literally just existed as to progress the plot as needed. Now, in closing, I really don't want you thinking that I hated this film. I actually loved a lot of it, and I loved a lot of the cast. Specifically, you had Don Lee as Gilgamesh. I thought he was really moving. And then you had Druig, who was angsty and super interesting and dark. And then, Kingo. Kingo was hilarious. I loved him in this. But, and the thing that I loved most, at the end, when Ikaris betrays the team, he got very serious. I think I felt the most emotion from him because you could tell he was struggling to have to choose between Ikaris, the man that he respected, and then the rest of his team, which were basically his family. Honestly, Kingo did more for me in that moment than the Ikaris-Cersei relationship throughout the whole film. Anyways, I look forward to stepping into this expanded Marvel universe, and I think they're going in the right direction. I'll see you next time. Hey, before you go, let me know what you thought about the film. My word is not gospel truth, and I'm genuinely interested. And also, feel free to leave me a like and subscribe.